going on, everyone? So yesterday, the Milwaukee Bucks got absolutely embarrassed by the Sacramento Kings, 129-94. Milwaukee, with Giannis, Damian Lillard, Brook Lopez, Malik Beasley, and Jay Crowder as their starting five, only put up 94 points. The Bucks only had 3 guys in double figures in the starting five, 4 guys in double figures total. You had Giannis, who had 30, 13, and 4. You had Damian Lillard, who had 10 points on 2 of 12 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. Malik Beasley, 3 of 11, 4 of 13 from the field with 11 points. And then Bobby Portis off the bench, 4 of 7 from the field with 11 points. This was an absolute embarrassment. They got dominated basically start to finish. Literally start to finish. They were down 8 points at halftime or at the end of the first quarter, and Sacramento just never looked back. Ended up being up 19 going into halftime and just kept laying it on them. The only quarter in which the Bucks ended up winning was the third quarter, in which they won 22-20, and then followed that up with 16 points in the fourth quarter. Absolutely embarrassing. And Damian Lillard has been a big issue this season for the Milwaukee Bucks. Again, as I mentioned in this game, Damian Lillard is supposed to be the guy. He is supposed to be the co-star for Giannis. The two of them are supposed to lead to a potential NBA championship, or at least get somewhere close. And Damian Lillard just has not been that guy. I mean, they basically did everything they could to go and acquire Dame, and he just essentially conned him. Again, absolutely embarrassing against Sacramento. Got basically played off the floor, was a minus 22. You had Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox make him look like he might as well not even have been on the basketball court. Damian Lillard drops 10 points, 2 of 12. 2 of 12 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 turnovers. I mean, this isn't the same Damian Lillard. He hasn't been. The Bucks as a whole they just haven't been that good this year. Record-wise, you look at it and you're like, oh, what are you talking about? They're the 2 seed in the East. But when you look at the 2 seed and you look at the teams that for the most part, that they've won, and you look at the rest of the East, if they were in the West, they wouldn't be 42-24. I'll tell you that. And right now, they are 9.5 games back of the Celtics, so they're not catching the 1 seed. They are right now 3.5 games back ahead of the New York Knicks, 5 games back of the Magic. So they're in good place there. It's the Cavs and the Bucks. Those are the 2 teams that are basically fighting for the 2-3 spot. Cavs are only half a game back of the Bucks, and we'll see how that race ends up playing out. But Milwaukee went and fired Adrian Griffin, believing that Adrian Griffin was the problem, and he's the reason that this isn't working and this isn't meshing. And they brought in Doc Rivers, and Doc Rivers has almost as many losses as Adrian Griffin did when he was fired. Doc Rivers so far is 10-10 as the head coach with the Milwaukee Bucks. That is terrible. And it is showing that it wasn't Adrian Griffin. Their second best player, the guy that they are so reliant on to game in and game out provide what they need him to provide, just isn't doing his part. He's not holding up his end of the bargain. He's undersized and he's a defensive liability. The Milwaukee Bucks have been terrible defensively this year. But the whole thought process is, hey, you know what? Damian Lillard is so good and can score the basketball at such a rate and is going to take so much pressure off of Giannis that it'll work itself out. It'll balance out and it'll be a positive. And it just hasn't been. It just genuinely hasn't been. I mean, don't get me wrong. Dame has had his games. He's had his moments, right? He's had the games where he's dropped 35 on efficiency and stuff, right? He's had his big time shots and his closing, but it's the game in and game out. It's the needing him in key moments on a regular basis, him meshing well with Giannis just isn't working. a lot of times it's kind of like a you go, I go, you go, I go. And look, it's every time you see stars team up, it usually is a little clunky at first, right? Like Dame's used to being the guy. He's used to having the ball in his hands and being able to take, 20 shot attempts per game, but he's still getting solid attempts, right? Like for his career, he averages 18 and a half field goal attempts per game. He's shooting 17 and a half this season. He's shooting on the season 42.6% from the field, 35.5% from three-point range. He's shooting under 50% from two-point range at just a hair, not much, but 49.6%. He has an EFG of 51.4. He's shooting free throws is up. He's having a really good free throw year, shooting 92, almost 93%. But outside of that, he's just 25 points, 7 assists, 6.9 if you want to be exact, 4.4 rebounds, 1 steal. If you look at his stats, it's like, okay, like he's like, what more could you ask for, right? The guy's doing well, but he's not doing it on efficiency. And like I said, he's just been so inconsistent this year, right? He'll have a 41-point game, and then he'll have a 16-point game, and then he'll have a 35-point game, and then he'll have a 10-point game. And it's just like, where's the level of consistency here? Where are the, rattling off 20 and 30 and 35 and just being the Dame we know and love? That guy that can just completely by himself just dominate a basketball game and constantly be a threat. I mean, it's been so bad this year. There are times where teams just kind of let him shoot. Like even that deep three, teams are just like, hey, go ahead, take it. Because you're not shooting well this year. And I don't know what the fix is. Giannis is literally having a unbelievable season. Like Giannis is doing everything he can to keep this team afloat. Like if it wasn't for Giannis, this team would not be very good this year. I don't know how much more this man can do. And he doesn't have the consistency from his supporting cast this year to really just allow them to win and be successful, right? Like, again, you look at the record and it's like, oh, they are successful. But if you really watch them play, like, who are they beating? Right? Like, luckily the East is kind of top heavy, right? Like, they'll win the first round, but like, I could see the Knicks fully healthy beating them. The Miami Heat could beat them. The Cavs, I think, could beat them and give them a run for their money. The Boston Celtics, right? Like, I'm not super sold on the Bucks. Now, in the same breath, you can make, like, there is a part of you that's like, well, hey, they have Dame and Giannis. You get them into the postseason and you live with the result. Like, in the same breath, no one would be shocked if they're in the NBA Finals or they win the championship because you do have Dame and Giannis, right? The names on the back of the jersey speak for themselves. But it's just, you watch them play and it's just, Milwaukee's just not a very good team. They're not. They're just not a good team at all. And again, outside of Giannis literally having a historic season, if he finishes the rate in which he's finishing this season, he would be the first player in NBA history to do so. He is averaging almost 31 points per game on 61.5% from the field. He'd be the first person ever to average 30 plus in a season on 61%. I mean, Wilt didn't even do that. That is crazy to think about. Giannis is dominating to a historic level, and the Milwaukee Bucks look atrocious at times. And a lot of it is Damian Lillard. Right? There are moments where Dame looks brilliant. There are moments where Dame looks like Damian Lillard. And you're just like, there he is, right? There's the guy. Welcome back, buddy. And then you'll see games like the Sacramento Kings game, and it looks like he's a role player. It looks like he shouldn't even be out there playing. Like, he was literally unplayable in that Kings game. Like, it's not even an exaggeration. I watched that game start to finish. It was very hard to watch start to finish because it was just an embarrassing game. Like, it was just Giannis trying to do everything he could to keep them afloat, and he just couldn't. But, like, he was getting just blown by with regularity. They just kept targeting him. He's just jacking up terrible shot after terrible shot. Like, literally, there were stretches where they were like, he was shooting them out of the game. And it's just like, dude, get this guy off the floor. But you can't, because it's Dame, right? You still have to stick with him. You still have to play him his minutes. Like, if Damian Lillard was just a role guy, he probably would have played 10 minutes last night. But because it's Damian Lillard and because, he's the second star, you have to stick with him. You have to play him. You can't bench him, right? No matter how bad he was. Again, 2 of 12 from the field just doesn't cut it, man. Right? Like, be aggressive. Get to the foul line. Right? Literally half of his points came from the foul line. He was 5 of 6 from the free throw line. He had 1 3 and 1 mid-range. That's it. It's the only buckets he got. 2 of 12 from an all-star that is supposed to be your second best player, your point guard, the guy that you went and traded traded everything you had left to go get, to put yourself in a position to try to go win an NBA championship. He gives you 10 points. The sad thing is, he's done that with some form of regularity this season. It's just, it's terrible. He's just not the same guy. He just isn't. He just hasn't been. And I don't know if it's just, his age, the injury history, if it's him just being second fiddle and he's just still struggling to adjust. But I mean, you've played 60 games, man. Like, how much more time do you need to kind of figure it out? I don't know. Maybe it's a combination of everything. I don't know what the deal is, but it's been tough to watch. And I don't know. Again, maybe you get to the postseason and Dame becomes Dame time again and he turns back the clock and all is good, right? And maybe this is one of those situations, because you've seen teams like, they're not great in the regular season. Like Miami. Miami's a great example, right? Regular season, they're like, a bottom 5 team. But as soon as they get into the playoffs, all of a sudden it's like, dude, what is this? Right? Jimmy Butler turns into Michael Jordan in his prime, and just like, it's crazy. Crazy. Maybe that'll happen for Milwaukee, right? Giannis is going to do Giannis things. But maybe Dame, he rises to the occasion. He looks at it, okay, we're in the postseason. Let's go. It's Dame time. I don't know, maybe. But in the same breath, it's like, I wouldn't be shocked if they're a first round exit. I don't know how to gauge Milwaukee. Like, watching Milwaukee this year, it wouldn't be surprising at all if they lost in the first round. Honestly, it would not be a surprise whatsoever if they lost in the first round. But in the same breath, it wouldn't be a surprise that they were in the NBA Finals and won the championship. It's really weird. And look, it is very possible Milwaukee loses in the first round. Milwaukee could end up playing Miami or Philly in the first round. And Philly and Miami both can beat them. So the idea of Milwaukee losing in the first round is really not that far-fetched. If Joel Embiid is healthy and ready to go, Philly can beat Milwaukee. And then if Miami plays Milwaukee, you know how Miami is. So, absolutely. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think Dame isn't the same Dame? Do you have concerns about Damian Lillard? Do you think, once they get to the playoffs, he'll be fine, he'll be good, all will be right in the world? Again, how do you feel? What your thoughts are? I'd love to hear it, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.